Okay, so what we want to do for finding the equation is we want to look at, for a piecewise function, where it starts. I'm going to look at f of x, and it starts here, and then it goes a straight line. And I can see that the transform function starts and does the same thing in reading a graph from left to right. So first thing I want to do is I want to write out what the key values are. So I'm going to look at f of x first. So I'm over at -8 and 6. And then I look at the next one, I'm at -6 and 6. My next point is -2, -3, and my last point is 2, 0. And then I'm going to look at the points for the transform function. So I'm going to look at down here, where did I end up? So I'm at -5 and -13. I'm up here, I'm at -4 and I'm over here first and -13. Now I'm up here at -2 and 14. And then I end up over here at 0 and 5. Next thing I want to do is I want to look at first differences. I'm going to look at them for both the original function and the transform function. So if I go from -8 to -6, I've added 2, I add 4, and I add 4. And over here I add 0, I'm going to subtract 9, and I'm going to add 3. If I look here, I'm going to add 1, I'm going to add 2, I'm going to add 2. I'm going to add 0, I'm going to add 27, and then I'm going to subtract 9. What I want to figure out first is what I'm multiplying or dividing with x and what I'm multiplying and dividing by y. I'm doing this intermediate table, which will give me my stretches and compressions. So if I look at my first differences, I have 2, 4, and 4, and they become 1, 2, and 2. So what happened was I divided everything by 2. I went 0, -9, and 3, and they became 0, 27, and -9. So what happened was I multiplied everything by -3. So normally these two tables are together. We're separating them right now in order to find the equation. So I'm going to take all my x values and I'm going to divide them by 2. So I end up with -4, -3, -1, and 1. I'm going to take all my y values and I'm going to multiply them by -3. So I end up with -18, -18, 9, and 0. And then I look, well, I want to add and subtract. So I want to figure out what I add and subtract. So I look at all my x values and I look at, well, how did I get to these these x values? And I subtracted 1. And then I look at all my y values and how did I get here? Well, I added 5. So now I can create my equation based on the values I have up here. So therefore, I have y equals, what happened was, I have -3. We're going to use f for the function because it's a piecewise function. 2 because I divide by 2, brackets lie. Then I'm going to have x plus 1. It's -1 here, my brackets lie. And I'm going to add 5. Okay, if I look at this next one, it's the same function, which is nice, and my base table will be the same. But in this case, this piece matches up with this piece here. So in this case, I'm going to write it left to right, but in this case, I have to write it right to left so that the points match up. Since this point matches with this one, this matches with this matches with this, and this matches with this. So my original one will be the same as that original one. And now I'm going to look at my transform function. So normally we would read a graph left to right, but this has to have a horizontal reflection in it because it's going in the different direction from the original function. So I'm going to have a minus on top of x somehow. So I have to write the points so that they match those in the same direction. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm actually going to have to write these ones backwards. So I have 12 minus 8, 10 minus 8, 6 minus 5, and 2 minus 6. And again, I'm going to do first differences. Those will be the same. And I'm going to do these ones too. So now I look, I have 2, 4, and 4, and they became minus 2, minus 4, minus 4, so I ended up multiplying by negative 1. I ended up with 0, minus 9, and 3, to 0, plus 3, and minus 1, so I divided everything by minus 3. So now I'm going to do that to these x values. So I end up with 8, 6, 2, and minus 2. And I'm going to divide all of these values in y by minus 3. So I end up with minus 2, minus 2, 1, and 0. And now I look, how do I go from 8, 6, 2, minus 2 to 12, 10, 6, and 2? Well, I added 4. And how do I go from these y values to these y values? I subtracted 6. So now we can create the equation. So y is equal to, we're dividing, so I'm going to do minus a third. The function, I have minus, I have x minus 4, and then I have minus 6 on the end.